Same clip before it gets cut off. I mean, after it gets cut off, he says, that the neo-Nazis should be condemned. He's not talking about them. He wants to be clear.
Then who's the fine people?
Okay, I know. Hold on. But if you want to make the argument that supporting those who want to maintain the Confederate statues is an example of him, applauding bad people, okay, that's fine. Make that argument. But I don't think he was applauding literal neo-Nazis.
There was only two sets of people there: neo-Nazis and guys who were supporting Confederate generals who wanted to keep slavery. So there was no fine people on the other side, none.
Ana Kasparian is absolutely fed up with the woke left, and more particular, fed up with Cenk Uygur, who just straight up lies about Donald Trump, lies about right-wingers, lies about Republicans in general in this clip and just all the time. Whenever he goes on Piers Morgan, when he goes on all these shows, he just lies just to get his point across, to push his agenda. And Ana Kasparian is now fed up with the lies. She's going absolutely scorched earth on people like Cenk Uygur and the people who watch the Young Turks. All of these woke lunatics, Ana Kasparian is coming after them. Let's check out this clip here from the Young Turks of Ana Kasparian just destroying Cenk Uygur once again, live on the Young Turks, for trying to lie about Donald Trump and about right-wingers again.
This about him saying very fine people on both sides. Let's watch.
You had some very bad people in that group, but you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did.
Of course, that was Charlottesville, where the neo-Nazis marched saying the Jews will not replace us, and then they killed somebody. But the Republicans say, no, guys, be fair. He might have meant the guys who were supporting the Confederate generals who wanted to keep lynching and slavery and use black people as furniture and sell off their babies.
Yeah, so in that
once again, I've said this before, I'm pretty sure, like I said, I'm not a history buff, but I'm pretty sure there was more things that Confederate generals stood for other than the worst things in the world that you could possibly think of that Cenk Uygur just brought up. Also, when you're Ana Kasparian's going to go in on him here in 1 second, as you can hear, but when you're talking about Donald Trump, a politician, you could say before he wasn't a politician. He is a politician now. He's been in this game for like almost 12 years. I think it adds up to now, since 2016. So, or I guess that's 8 years. I don't know. I'm bad at math, but regardless, he's been in this game for a while, right? At this point, Donald Trump understands that saying certain things can lose you elections, and that you should focus all of your energy on saying things that is going to win you an election. Whenever he says there's good people on both sides, I can promise you, even if he thinks it deep down, he would never say that out loud to mean that he thinks actual neo-Nazis are good people. He would never say that, even if he thinks it deep down, because that would lose him an election. He is not that stupid. Somebody who becomes president of the United States, especially in a position that Donald Trump was in prior, where he wasn't a politician, he didn't know about this world, came in and became president, is not stupid enough to say something like that, even if he thinks it, which I don't think he does. So it's just really ridiculous. I was going to say something else, but it's really ridiculous and disingenuous for Cenk to say something like that. And Ana Kasparian is about to check him here in 1 second.
Same clip before it gets cut off. I mean, after it gets cut off, he says, that the neo-Nazis should be condemned. He's not talking about them. He wants to be clear.
Then who's the fine people?
Okay, I know. Hold on. But if you want to make the argument that supporting those who want to maintain the Confederate statues is an example of him, applauding bad people, okay, that's fine. Make that argument. But I don't think he was applauding literal neo-Nazis.
There was only two sets of people there: neo-Nazis and guys who were supporting Confederate generals who wanted to keep slavery. So there was no fine people on the other side, none.
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
The Nazis and the Confederate lovers are not fine people. They either despise Jews and many other people, or they thought blacks should still be slaves. So
those weren't the only two groups of people there. Like that's absolutely ridiculous. Those might be representative of the extremes of both groups. The people who don't want, just because you don't want Confederate statues of Confederate generals, part of the United States history, torn down, doesn't mean you completely and 100% support everything that the Confederacy supported. I think most reasonable people out there are happy that slavery was abolished, including most of the people out there who don't support tearing down pieces of United States history, which are the statues of the Confederacy generals. I think that just because you don't want to tear down the statues doesn't mean that you currently want slavery around. Also, just because there's some people in certain groups who happen to be neo-Nazis on the extreme of that group, and then there's also other people involved in that group that aren't neo-Nazis, that don't have any beliefs of neo-Nazis, but they get called that just because they're part of that group. That makes no sense. Just because the extremes of one group happen to be bad people doesn't mean that everybody involved in that group also aligns 100% with those bad people. That would be like me saying that Cenk Uygur and Ana Kasparian, because they identify as leftists, they also support Hamas because somebody who is related to Cenk Uygur and Hassan Piker supports Hamas. Like, he straight up just does. He likes Hamas. He likes the extremism. That would be like me saying, oh, you're a leftist? You must also support the things that Hassan supports. It's like, no, just because there's one person who's extreme doesn't mean everybody who belongs to that group of people is that extreme. And that's just common sense. It should be. But when it comes to Donald Trump, people like Cenk Uygur, and used to be people like Ana Kasparian, she's coming around now, as you can see there, she checks him. But people like Cenk Uygur just lose all piece of common sense they have in their brain. It's all just gone. It's out the window. It doesn't make their thought patterns no longer align. Like, it just doesn't make any sense what comes out of their mouth.
There was no fine people, none. And when we have a monster who's running for president, who says, oh, well, maybe they're good people. In fact, he dined with two Nazis, Nick Fuentes and Kanye West. And you go, oh, golly gee, I didn't know they were Nazis, even though Nick Fuentes has been saying it publicly for so long, and Kanye to boot. So, all right, but you guys get to decide, TrumpBrackets.com. Last one, implied Kamala Harris exchanged oral sex for career favors versus advocated for increasing oil and gas.
You notice how they're going back to their old tactics again? Because now we've seen Donald Trump debate Kamala Harris. And while it was definitely closer of a debate than Donald Trump versus Joe Biden, Donald Trump still won that debate and made Kamala Harris look stupid. Because anytime Kamala Harris, honestly, Donald Trump didn't even do it. Kamala Harris just makes herself look stupid. And so do all of these Democrat candidates, because anytime they're actually asked to make a stance on something, they can't do it. It's like Kamala Harris just says things like, oh, we're going to fix the border situation. Well, number one, you're in charge of the border right now, and it's definitely not fixed. In fact, you made it completely worse than it was before. And number two, what is your plan for fixing the border? Well, and then she just goes off on another tangent about something completely different. So she just didn't answer any of the questions about what she actually stands for, what she actually plans to do as the president of the United States. But now JD Vance also has demolished Tim Walz in a vice presidential debate. And guess what they're going back to now? Basically the mean tweets thing. Now Cenk Uygur and the Young Turks, and I'm sure Ana Kasparian doesn't like it. She's fed up with it. I think at this point, and let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree, at this point I think Ana Kasparian is only doing these shows because she's contractually obligated to, and once her contract is over, she's going to leave. Like, I just think that's the case. She put out a tweet earlier today that I'll probably do a video on later, and it set the left on fire. It was just destroying Democrats, and it got like 70,000 likes so far, and it set the left on fire. They're all coming after her, trying to cancel her. And she wouldn't do that before. I think she's 100% just on the Young Turks still because she's contractually obligated to it. Once her contract is over, she's going to go somewhere else or do her own thing. But as you can see on the screen right here, the left, the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur, these people, they're back to doing their old tactics of, yeah, our candidate might suck. Yeah, Kamala Harris lost the presidential debate. Yeah, Tim Walz got absolutely destroyed by JD Vance in that debate. But Donald Trump says mean things. Donald Trump does mean tweets and runs mean polls on his website. It's just give me a break, man.
Drilling. One destroys the environment. The other one is a loathsome thing to say about Kamala Harris. Look, I don't even want to run that element for you guys because you get it. You get it. He did it. He, talked about oral sex for her and Hillary Clinton. He's a disgusting, vile creature that 40% of the country loves. Okay. So now I promised you the Piers Morgan clip about how he's mentally unbalanced. So while they were trying to tell everybody, oh my God, poor Donald Trump, he's so successful and he's so great, but Kamala Harris is the real problem here. I came in to regulate. Let's watch. You want to talk about mental impairment? Come on, guys, it should have been over when he said, let's put disinfectant inside our bodies. He's a very, very dumb man.
He didn't say that.
He thinks that clean coal is you take out coal and you scrub it clean. He thinks the F-35 stealth fighter is invisible to the naked eye like Wonder Woman. He took a dementia test and thought it was an IQ test. The other day, he said that the audience in the debate went crazy for him. There was no audience in the debate. The man has significant mental problems. Oh, I love driving right-wingers crazy on that show. They're like, no, it's not true. Our beloved Trump. Everything.
I'm pretty sure you are the one that looks like that on those shows. Like, he goes on Piers Morgan all the time and just gets destroyed on Piers Morgan all the time. And he's the one that has meltdowns. He's the one that gets all fired up and starts yelling and screaming and stuff. And it's because he's just getting absolutely destroyed on Piers Morgan. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you thought about Ana Kasparian just trying to check Cenk. You could tell, like, she's kind of dejected from the situation at this point. Like, she tried to check him, and then she realizes, oh, this guy, he's just deranged. He has TDS. Too bad. Like, Ana Kasparian just can't really do much other than just wait her contract out and leave at the end. Let me know in the comments what you think about this whole Ana Kasparian versus Cenk Uygur here live on the Young Turks situation.